Welcome back, everyone. So, last week on the UK Versus podcast that I'm on every Sunday, which, if you're not subscribed, go check out UK Versus and see me most Sundays chatting with Brett from over there, and it's really good content. But we had a guest, and the guest says they follow my channel for a lot of the retro content because retro is awesome. And it inspired me to tell the story of, something I didn't do that had quite a big impact. And this is the story of how I got a character in Retro banned before I even got a chance to play it. So this was a very long time ago, pre-MHA. So a lot of Retro was still standard at the time. And I believe it was Legendary Wolf Games out in Omaha, Nebraska, which was one of the best, places to play the game. Sadly, they're not in business anymore, but they were really great people, and it was a great store, and they were hosting, I want to say it was a cash tournament for Retro. And I thought, all right, it'll be my first time going to Omaha, going to Legendary Wolf Games. I want to make a splash. What should I play? And I'm not the type of person who really sticks with meta choices. I'm the kind of person who likes to go off the wall and try to figure out something crazy. So I was digging in some of the oldest characters, because Retro is everything that Jasco Games has printed since they took over the game of, at that point, Universal Fighting System, now Universus. And I found one. I found a character that I thought was right up my alley and was absolutely nuts. And that character is Sasha. But not the Red Horizon Blood Omen Sasha, which is Sasha 2. Sasha 1. So Sasha is a 6 hand size 27 health character with Chaos, Life, and Void symbols. She has a static ability, which means this ability is always live. You don't have to pay any cost for it or activate it. You may commit foundations in your card pool in addition to foundations in your stage to pass control checks. During your end phase, add any foundations committed this way to your stage committed. She also has an enhance. This attack is +1 damage for each committed foundation in your card pool. That's fine. I'll be completely honest, I forgot that enhance existed most of the time. So I thought, what could I do with this character? And something that a lot of Rochester Retro people won't know, if the only Retro you've done is Rochester Retro, you wouldn't know that in old school Retro, you're allowed to attack on your first turn, even if you have no foundations. But I could have foundations. And I comboed this on the Chaos symbol with an attack that had yet to be eroded, called Boulder Barrage Genbu. And I'll let me just open up a new tab here. So we'll keep Sasha up. It would help if I could... Boulder Barrage Genbu, here we go. So Boulder Barrage Genbu at this point says, after you play this attack, add the top card of your discard pile to your card pool face down. As a copy of this attack, add it to the attack stack. Clear the copy after it resolves. Only playable if this is the first attack you've played this turn. So you can only use this ability if Boulder Barrage Genbu is your first attack that you played during this turn. Back in the day, before this was eroded, you could play multiple Boulder Barrage Genbus, and each time you're getting a second instance of 4 mids 8. Now it is a 1 check, so it is dangerous, but let me open up another tab. Foundation, Retro, Chaos, Progressive. I would use foundations like Over the Top, which, as a static, does not count towards progressive difficulty. And I would use Fusion Refusal, which if I do not play it as a form, like if I use its enhance ability to add itself to my card pool, it doesn't count towards progressive difficulty. So I could use cards like that to put them in my card pool, play Boulder Barrage on a 5 or a 6, check a 5, commit one of my foundations, or even worse, like if I've got 4 foundations in my card pool that don't count towards progressive, and I check this on a 5 and I check a 3, I can commit 2 of my foundations in my card pool and throw 16 damage at my rival. So that was very, very difficult, especially because, it's a 1 diff, or it's a 1 check, it's really hard, but here's what happened. Type that in. I would play a lot of foundations, like Fusion Refusal, like Over the Top, like Clear Cutter. Clear Cutter says, while it's in my card pool, my checks to play attacks get +1, my rival's checks to block get -1. I had Always There. It says, enhance, add this card to your card pool, choose 1 ready foundation in your rival's stage, return it to its owner's hand, only playable during your own turn. I had all these foundations. Over the Top, I could add it to my card pool as an enhance. It doesn't count towards progressive, and I get to look at the top card of my deck. Or Sense of Adventure, I can commit it and mill 3, and add 1 milled foundation this way to my card pool. So putting all these cards in my card pool, then playing good damage attacks, like just Value Town chaos attacks. And then I would commit the foundations in my card pool before any foundations in my stage. And then I would just profit. I'm just getting all of this stuff. But here's the thing. With foundations like Fusion Refusal, Over the Top, Clear Cutter, if you add them to your card pool with their effects, where do they go at the end of the turn? They get discarded to the discard pile. That is actually something that I cheated a lot at when I was first teaching myself the game. I thought if Clear Cutter went to your card pool, at the end of the turn when you're clearing your card pool, hey, any foundation you played gets put back into your stage. Not how that works. So I had a question. If I add a foundation to my card pool with its own effect, and then commit it to pass a check, Sasha says I get to add those cards to my stage during the end phase. Can I loop these foundations that add themselves to my card pool for value, commit them without having to commit any cards in my stage, and then bring them back down and just loop them over and over? Like with my Always There. I could put 3 Always There in my card pool and debuild my rival 3 foundations. Because they have to be ready foundations, and I get to choose. And then I commit it, and then add it to my stage. And I thought, surely that's not how this works. Surely that's not, like, that can't be. And this is before cards like Maul Day, where if I check an attack, I get to add Maul Day to my card pool face up and pick it up. But another thing I was doing was I would play Retro, Attack, Chaos, Reversal. I would block with a foundation, and then I'd play a reversal, and I could commit the foundation in my stage to pass the check to play the reversal, or I could commit the foundations in my card pool to pass the checks to play more blocks. And then I get to build those cards at the end of the turn, because Sasha doesn't say during... Well, it does say during my end phase, but I could still pass the checks to play further blocks by committing the cards in my card pool instead of the ones in my stage to pass checks to play blocks, to play reversals. So it was really, really cool, and I really liked this, but again, I had that thought of, if I'm using all of these cards that add themselves to my card pool, what happens? How does that work at the end of my turn? Do they get built back in, or do they go to the discard pile, because that's how adding something, because I didn't play it as a form. So I messaged the head judge for the event, Ryan Pham. I said, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. This is how I think this ability works. And I know this is how these foundations work. So I just want clarification. Before I put because I had to invest money into, getting the retro cards I was going to need. But also, if I'm going to Omaha, that's travel, that's all of this stuff. I don't want to show up with a deck that doesn't work and just flop. So before I even built the deck and before I went, I wanted to make sure that I had how the card worked. So if it's like, oh no, they still go to the discard pile, maybe I could work around that. But I didn't want to learn after I got up there. So I messaged the head judge and I said, hey, look, I just want to know how this interaction works. If I add these cards to my card pool and commit them, if it then goes to my end phase, does Sasha build them back down into my card pool? And this is really good for cards like Fusion Refusal, which its ability to add itself to the card pool for +2 or -2 damage is tenacious. So I can play it even while it's committed. So I asked Ryan Pham, is this how this works? Does it go back to my stage? And he said, lol, that is broken as hell, but yes, that's how that works, and that's hilarious. So I thought, oh my gosh, I cracked something. I figured something out, and I ordered the cards the same day. I'm like, all right, cool. I am going to just show up and just surprise everyone with this kind of weird foundation moving control piece deck. And the very next day, Sasha was on the retro ban list. She wasn't there when I started building the deck because she is a very old card. I believe she's part of the 6-point promos. So she's a promo character that they started releasing, I believe, when the first Red Horizon set came out. I don't know if she was like a promo for like entering tournaments, kind of like how we get our entry promos and stuff like that. I didn't play when Jasko first took over, so I don't know how these were released, but she was part of the 6-point promos, and I didn't think anyone was, looking at her. And I looked, and when I first decided to play Sasha, she was not on the ban list, because I didn't know how the point promos worked, if they still counted, and I asked, do the points promos, if they're for like Red Horizons, still count, and I got a yes. So I decided on Sasha. I asked the head judge if my understanding of the mechanics is correct. He laughed and said yes. The next day, the character is banned. I'm not saying I got a character banned without ever playing her, but I'm pretty sure I got a character banned without ever playing her. I unfortunately did not make it to the Legendary Wolf tournament. I had some financial things come up, and I had to cancel my trip. But I think it is absolutely hilarious to think that I cracked something so hard that possibly could have turned into such a negative play experience that I got a character banned simply by asking a question. And I'm not mad about it. I think it's hilarious. And I was going to build a deck for you guys showing off the strengths of this character and what this character can do. But man, there's just so much you can do with this character now. Like, obviously, she's still banned in Retro and Rochester Retro, so she ain't coming back anytime soon. Unless Sean, Kevin, Tim, you guys want to give me my Sasha back for Rochester Retro, I'd absolutely love it. But imagine something like this. Imagine Colossal Detonation. I play this after playing some foundations that don't count towards progressive, or I use cards like, maybe I've played, put up a Fusion Refusal. I play an attack, put up Fusion Refusal, put up a couple of over-the-tops so that they don't count towards progressive, and I can check the top card of my deck. I've already put up Clear Cutter as a form, so my checks to play attacks get +1. And then I play Colossal Detonation. I commit my character. I commit Sasha. And then I commit all the foundations in my card pool to help pass the check, and then a few foundations in my stage. And maybe I've already put up some Always Theirs in order to debuild my rival's best defensive pieces. After Colossal Detonation nukes everything, I can play a foundation. If I pass the check, I can play another foundation. And if I wouldn't pass the check, I can commit that other foundation that I just played. And then all of those foundations get built back into my stage. Like, I play Colossal Detonation, and then maybe I've got some Sense of Adventures ready. I can commit them, mill 3, put a foundation into my card pool that I can then commit to pass checks, and then build all of that down. And I have 5, 6, 7 foundations. My rival has none. And I'm chucking minimum 10 damage at you. And then your checks to block would get -1 for each clear cutter in my card pool. It is just absolutely disgusting what this character can do. And that's just off of some, like, chaos stuff, because there's also, there's some other void foundations that can... Oh, I hit the attuned void. There's some other void foundations that can add themselves to your card pool, like Helping Hand. You add it to your card pool, both players draw a card. Playful Friends, you add it to your card pool, commit 1 non-character card in your rival's stage. So I can add this, and in regular Retro, before you had to worry about, you know, I have a primary symbol and then I have some attuned. In old school Standard and Retro, we had what's called symbol chaining, where any card you play from your hand has to share at least 1 symbol with your character, and at least 1 symbol with every other card in your card pool, but they don't necessarily have to match the same symbol. So if I had an Always There in my card pool, and I added Playful Friends to my card pool, I would not be able to play a card that only has Chaos, unless it was attuned, because Playful Friends doesn't have Chaos. I could, however, play Boulder Barrage Genbu, because it has Air and Chaos, and if my character, Sasha, has Chaos, that shares Chaos, and then Always There and Playful Friends both have Air, so if both of these two are in my card pool, I could still play Boulder Barrage Genbu in Retro, in, like, original Retro, because that's how symbol chaining works. So there were all sorts of moving pieces of, as long as I put, you know, these certain cards into my card pool, I could play these certain cards from my hand, and then I build them all back down, and I do it again. Imagine playing on Void, like a Void stage control deck, where, you know, I'm playing Playful Friends to commit all of your non-character cards. I'm bouncing your other your other defensive foundations into your hand with Always There. Maybe I'm drawing with Helping Hand. I've got my clear cutters. And then I'm playing some void cards such as... let's see, where's some good void cards. This was one of the rough ones because the void symbol was kind of meh, but like you could absolutely, as long as you're not playing combo attacks, you could absolutely just nuke people. Or here's the thing, like I have all of these Chaos and Air cards. I'm on the Void symbol. You know, so they all have Void. They all also have Chaos and Air. I could play Walk the Dog, which has Chaos and Air. Play it on an 8 diff or a 4 diff. Commit the foundations in my stage. I don't have to commit anything, or commit the foundations in my card pool. I don't have to commit anything in my stage to keep playing cards. As long as I keep having foundations in my card pool, I can keep committing those. Or on the Life symbol. Granted, there's not as much on the Life symbol that adds itself to your card pool. Where's Life? Life. Like Hand of Confession can add itself to your card pool. Terrifying Injury and Mass Menace are mainly for defense. So imagine putting these into your card pool for -2 damage, -3 speed, commit them to pass checks, bring them back down. Well, you can't do that on your rival's turn because this is only at the end, during your end phase. But Hero's Inspiration, add it to my card pool to draw a card. Example of Perfection, add it to my card pool. My non-throw attack gets +3 damage. And while it's in my card pool, non-attack cards do not count towards progressive to play throws. That's pretty funny. Over the Top can still go to my card pool. pick on someone your own size isn't great, but playing these foundations, I could then play combo, attack, life. I could play create capture net, which I could build one foundation from my card pool face up, so I could commit it to pass a check, build it face up ready, use its ability again. I could use Staff Strike, combo weapon foundation. My next 2 weapon cards I play ignore progressive difficulty. So I could ignore progressive difficulty while stringing out, passing the checks by committing foundations in my card pool. And then I get to draw 1 card for each foundation in my card pool. Staff Strike, Sasha would be incredible. Then we also have, where is it? If you're looking to spend a shite ton of money, you know, Strafe Shot, my next check to play a Fury attack is +2, combos with a foundation. But mainly, the one I'm looking for is... Is it not a combo? Oh, it doesn't have life. It's all good earth. Okay. I was thinking Trinity Geyser, but it doesn't have life. I forgot that Staff Strike is pseudo Trinity Geyser, but not actually. But you can do Staff Strike Sasha on life by simply playing your foundations as your forms, committing them to pass your checks in the card pool, so you don't have to worry. And yeah, you don't have a lot that can add themselves to your card pool, except for like Hand of Confession, Hero's Inspiration, but you still do have Over the Top and Sense of Adventure and Example of Perfection. You could do the Void D-Build combo with the Void foundations we were just talking about, the Miska 1 foundations. You have a whole bunch of control pieces on Chaos, especially ones that don't count towards progressive, in order to string out and just bonk your opponent for big damage. Yeah, I get why she was banned. I think she may have just been overlooked in the initial banning when they created the retro ban list, because who plays the 6-point promos? They're just so old that people forget they exist, and I think I just unearthed something that became quickly way too dangerous. So, no hard feelings, but I do think it is absolutely hilarious to think that I got a character banned without even having the chance to play her. Which is why, going forward now, I would much rather ask for forgiveness than permission. Because the last time I asked for permission, I got shut down hard. I would much rather show up, ruin someone's day, and have people go, you know what, maybe that shouldn't happen anymore. Which, not to say that I'm trying to create a negative play experience, but I think it's hilarious. I should have just shown up. Well, I wasn't able to go in the end anyway, but had I actually shown up and been like, hey, look, I've got this fun Sasha deck, and especially being my first time in Omaha, meeting a bunch of these big-name players, I think it would have made a really good impression and would have been really funny. So sadly, I never got to do it, but again, I understand why. This character is nuts. So UVS Games, if you want to create the new next broken character, Sasha would be a good place to look. Maybe tweak her a little bit. Honestly, she doesn't need the damage pump. Just that static alone is ridiculous. But yeah, I just thought it'd be a fun story to share with you guys, and introduce you to a character you'll likely never see. And then tell you why you'll never see her, because there's so much more broken stuff she can do now. But until next time, take care, everyone.